Welcome to Business Talk, our weekly University of Rio Grande, Ohio State University South Center's podcast show. We are here at the University of Rio Grande TV studio. Not only are we doing live internet radio through Blog Talk Radio, we are also live on Jackson Educational Access Channel and Channel 17 University of Rio Grande TV. Our podcasts are archived and placed on YouTube for viewing and listening again. Our mission is simple: to promote the University of Rio Grande and its diverse educational programs, promote the Ohio State University South Centers and its many business technology programs, promote the various small businesses and economic support organizations, and finally promote Southern Ohio, a great place to live, learn, and enjoy life to the fullest. Our co-hosts are Jason Winters, who is back from swimming the English Channel this week, Director of the Center for Small Business Entrepreneurship, and Mike Thompson, Instructional Design and Media Services Director, both with the University of Rio Grande. We also have Patrick Dengel on the camera, Business Development Specialist, and Kimberly Rausch, Program Assistant, both with the Ohio State University South Centers, and myself, Nathan Walzer, Assistant Men's Soccer Coach and co-host for the radio show. This week, our special guest is Scott Morrissey, the head men's soccer coach for the University of Rio Grande. Hey, Scott.
Hi, Nate.
Thanks
for having me.
Yep. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I started here at the University of Rio Grande in September of 1989, grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, attended Tiffin University, graduated in the spring of 1989, and started the soccer program as the first full-time head coach in September, and been here ever since.
How did you end up here?
Just real simple. I mean,
a series of unfortunate circumstances.
Exactly, yes. No, I was had a reasonable career athletically at Tiffin University in basketball and soccer, and the athletic director here at Rio at the time was John Lawhorn, and John had made basically a phone call to my former coach at Tiffin, and I happened to be at the right place at the right time.
So what were we at the time? You said you started the soccer program.
Well, the program here was actually started, the history of the program started in 1984, but there was only a part-time coach. The administration decided they wanted a full-time person and elected to do a search.
Okay.
And how successful that search was, I ended up being the guy. So
I wasn't sure if we were a club team at that point in time or not, but I guess we were a full NAIA.
Right into, we were in the Mid-Ohio Conference and a member of the NAIA.
Okay.
So we've been there ever since.
And you've been here 23 years, right?
23, starting on 24.
So you were almost 21 or 22 when you started. Was that a bit weird?
Well, I was actually, what was probably really weird for me was when I started here in September and I took the program over, I actually played against 2 or 3 of the guys that I coached, one of which was Tony Daniels, who is now our assistant coach. But Tony, when Tony saw me for the first time, he remembered me from playing against one another the previous season. And
so who was a better player?
I definitely was the better player.
Well, that doesn't say much. But anyways.
He was one of my first work studies here when I started.
No, Tony was a great player.
Yeah.
Great player, and he's been a fantastic coach, and he's just as much responsible for the success of the program as anyone.
How has the program changed over these 20-some years?
Well, it certainly evolved. I mean, we started, basically, when I started that very first day, we had 10 soccer players. I recruited a player on campus, so we had enough to field a full team. By the end of that season, I was also in admissions, so I started doing a lot of recruiting. And after about the third year, I started recruiting overseas. And by 1994, 95, we really started bringing in a lot of international kids. But that was also because of the support and the help from Evan Davis.
Right.
Evan was very instrumental in not only starting the Welsh Universities program, but also, help and assist with the recruitment of the student athletes overseas for the soccer program.
Mm-hmm.
So now when we recruit, you typically find players from England and stuff. Where was the first place that you went to find players?
The very first place we went was Jamaica, and that was only because of a former player that I played with at Tiffin kind of got me connected with a couple of coaches down in Kingston. That it's not that it didn't work out, but we had a lot more success going overseas to Europe, and England was the place. And our first English recruit only lasted a quarter because we were on quarters at that point in time. He realized that he had to go to school.
You guys have been here that long?
Yeah. So, but this young man only wanted to play soccer, didn't want to do any studies. We had to actually send him home, but it was the following year, 1994-95, is when we got our first, what I called real recruit, and then the contacts there started developing, and by 96 we won a conference championship, and then
by 2003, how'd you guys do?
National champions in 2003. So
what was that like?
It was great experience. I remember the final 10 seconds of the game. The team we were playing had a shot on goal that it just went wide, and then the countdown, and from there, the guys ran onto the field. It was a great experience.
I remember it because I was sitting right here, and I was putting it on TV, and I couldn't believe how cold it was there. Was it in Kansas City?
It was in Kansas City, and it was like 5 below zero.
It was awful, and you guys are running around there kicking. I don't know how you guys did it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'll never forget it. It was a great experience, and certainly a fantastic team. And the 2003 team is a pretty special team in that we had so many new players come into the team in 2003 from 2002. And so there was a lot of questions whether or not we were, how successful would we be. But that team they came together so quickly, and it was really fun to coach and be a part of.
I think that might lead into one of the things you were talking about in your preview that you just did, the 5-minute thing. And one of the challenges you have with coaching a team that is made up from people from possibly Jamaica, England, Germany, Australia, whatever, and they're different playing styles.
That's right.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, that's probably the unique thing about 2003 was most of the players at that point in time were all European-based players. And so they all had the very similar upbringings to how the game was to be played. Now, in 2008, 9, 10, 11, we see a lot more diversity because we have South American players, and that's a completely different style. But even having said that, you still, there's a big
What is the difference in the attitude?
The difference, it's not so much attitude as it is the way the game is played. In England, it's 100 miles an hour, kicking the ball like long ball, not so much possession-oriented soccer, whereas in South America, you have, it's a lot slower paced, and it's possession-oriented, and it's, try to advance the ball up the field by keeping possession the whole time, where the European style is just like one or two passes and bang, up the field it goes, and then everybody moves forward. So that's the difference, and it's a unique challenge to try to get everybody on the same page. And that's,
so where do you sit unless that's confidential?
No, it's not confidential. It's just a matter of your personnel and
I mean, as far as, do you make best use of what you have and use that, or do you have a particular style that you like to do that you have to convince them to play along with?
Well, I have a particular style that I like, but I also know too that I have players, and the players have the freedom of expression, so to speak, and that's the beauty of the game of soccer. And you try to incorporate or implement a few things, but then you also give the players the freedom to express themselves, and play. And there's a structure that you like to have laid out, and then hope that the players play within that framework.
Scott, tell us, where is your hometown?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cincinnati, Ohio. So you're familiar with Southern Ohio. Now, southeastern or southwestern Ohio is still a little different than southeastern Ohio.
Correct.
How is it to run a soccer program, national champions, in Rio Grande, Ohio? Because until the last few years, you didn't even see soccer in high schools in this area.
This is a football playing area.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I grew up in an environment in Cincinnati where my relatives were Mauler football in Cincinnati back in the day, and still is for the most part, is obviously a very, very big sport. But to answer the question, it's been difficult, but I think we've made a lot of progress. And I think over the last 2 seasons, with the help of Nate, Tony Daniels, we've started Tony really has started the soccer academy in this area, and we've got 75 to 80 kids participating in that, and that's remarkable.
Now, if somebody wanted to play, you recruit a lot from overseas and stuff. If somebody watching wanted to play for Rio Grande, how would they go about developing their skills to a level that you would want to recruit them?
Well, the biggest thing is that they'd have to start at a very early age, because a lot of the international kids, it's the only thing they ever do. And in this country, and particularly in the state of Ohio, kids play multiple sports. But a lot of the kids that we look at, the international kids, they just play one. A lot of the kids from England couldn't throw a football, or couldn't hit a baseball, or couldn't shoot a basketball, but they can play the game of soccer. Mm-hmm. Whereas the American kids are well schooled in all the various sports. So you really have to start honing your skills very early in the sport of soccer. And once you get to a certain age, the skill or the technical side of the game, you've probably accumulated as much knowledge as you can. It's then developing your body, your muscles, and getting stronger and maturing. But at an early age, you've really got to start with the technical side, ball skills, being able to pass a ball, kick a ball,
And I think it's awesome, since Tony started this youth camp that in the Rio Soccer Association, we can start coaching these kids at such a young age that now they're starting to grow up through our league. And then eventually, by the time they get to be our age, 18, 19, 20 years old, when they're in college, they'll have those skills because they've had people with really good skills teaching them all the fundamentals. Where a few years ago, I feel like when kids grow up around here, they don't necessarily learn the skills from people who've played like a long time. Like maybe Jason, who's probably hasn't played much soccer, will go and coach their kids, and then their kids are learning skills from someone who doesn't really know how to play. So it's like the blind leading the blind. So now that we started, now that we started the Rio,
do it. Yeah, and that happens all over the place. Mm-hmm. And growing up as a kid in Cincinnati, I was fortunate because Cincinnati's a heavily German-based community, and we had a young German, 26, 27-year-old, youngster basically, who identified a group of boys from the time we were 6, 7, 8 years old and said, these are the kids I'm going to work with until they're high school aged, and they're going to be able to play the game at a high level and be very efficient in the game.
So
and that's exactly what happened.
Was this a teacher? Or?
Well, it was just a guy who had a construction business.
That sponsors a team.
Yeah, and he sponsored a team, but he coached. And he was such a visionary, because at the time there was really no competitive soccer other than maybe 2 other organizations or clubs in the entire Cincinnati area. So it was very, very unique to start this process. But this guy took a group of boys my age, and half of the team played college soccer, and from 1985 to 89, and a lot of the boys that I played with, we were all on scholarships, and the guy was instrumental in teaching us how to play the game, but also molding me into the player that I was, and obviously, the coach that I am today.
Okay, so not only just coaching soccer, and you got a little bit into that. What else do you or the whole team do as far as soccer camps and other activities?
Well, we work in the community with camps, clinics. I should have mentioned this in the introductory promo, is that we do a lot with the local GDC, the Gallup Police Development Center, for the underprivileged kids, and we always do something with them in the fall, and I'm sure that will expand to doing something with them in the spring. And it's an opportunity for my players and the coaching staff to kind of give back to the community and work with these kids who really haven't had an opportunity for any type of athletic involvement such as soccer. So we do that. We do the camps and the clinics, and it's a lot of fun working with the kids and developing them. And
what if you're doing a camp, or what? I'm not sure what the difference between a camp and a clinic is, and what ages do they break down to, and maybe how much does it cost?
Well, we do camps. We've got a camp going on right now for the youth kids in the community through Thursday night, and they pay like a $90 fee, and they're here from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock getting instruction and playing. And then we have high school camps where they stay overnight in the dormitories, and they're here from Sunday through Thursday, play competitive games, play against other high schools, and it's just a lot of fun.
So how many people usually attend?
Youth camp, we usually have 20 to 25 kids, and then the high school camps are starting to grow. We'll have 9 or 10 different high schools that will participate in the various weeks.
And if I had a child, do they have to be gifted in soccer?
No, they don't.
You could just have
Absolutely
an
not.
interest.
Anybody could come down.
Anybody
as long as
can
you
come.
want to play,
Yeah.
then we're here to help you guys.
Okay, so it's not just for the sporty kids to hone their skills. It could just be anybody who has an interest.
That's
Anybody who wants to play.
Okay.
That's right.
Do you want to play?
Not right now. Were you a part of any of that?
I was never a part of the actual camps because I'm not from around here, but when I moved here, I've been helping out coaching the camps ever since I've been here. And since I'm the goalie coach for the university, I typically take the goalies and do that.
What do you get out of these activities as a player?
As a player, my favorite thing was the thing we did with the GDC. It was so much fun. They come out here and we go down to the field, turn the lights on at night. They're going ooh ah, they love it. We split up into 2 teams with them, and then we mix our players amongst all of them, and then we just play. And it's so much fun. You see how happy it makes them, how happy it makes the players. They get to work with people that they're not usually working with. It's just really just shows diversity all over the place, and it's awesome. It's a really great thing.
We've run into those kids in the gym in the wintertime where they'll come and play basketball, and when they see us, they've even mentioned the fact that they can't wait to come back in the fall to play in that game again with the lights on, and it's a big deal to those kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it really
It's a big deal.
It really
to our
shows.
guys,
Yeah,
too.
it is for our guys too, because they really appreciate the fact that what they've been given, the opportunity that they have, it makes a big impact on them.
Scott, I'd like for you to take a few minutes and talk about your guys. I've been out here a few years now, and I've got to know a lot of your players, both the national players and your international players. And you've really got a wonderful group of guys. And I'm sure that sometimes communication barriers get in the way, and I'm sure that sometimes the cultures get in the way. But you've really got some good guys that are bringing a lot to the University of Rio Grande.
Yeah,
Why don't you talk a little
I've
bit
seen
about
these
the-
guys from South America, I think.
Yeah.
They don't speak a lot of
We've
English.
I think we had some from
Doesn't seem
Brazil.
like.
Now
Yeah.
the English guys, we can pretty much understand them.
Yeah.
I mean, they bring their dialect to it. But then again, I'm sure we bring a little slang from southeastern Ohio to the table too.
The one thing I'll say about probably one of the, besides the wins and losses, the one thing I'm probably most proud of with our program is the fact that our student athletes, they graduate. We've got a really solid grade point average. It's the international students from South America that don't speak English when they first arrive. By the time they're finished with their first year of studies, I mean, they can speak. They're in the regular classes. They work really hard for, to receive that education because it's a great opportunity for them. And for the English guys, those guys possibly, could have made it back home somewhere, but they look for an opportunity out here. A lot of the guys have stayed on, have gotten married, started families. It's been a really special experience for me. But again, probably the thing I'm most proud of is the fact that the players, they take the academic side just as serious as they do winning, and it goes hand in hand. And we've had an outstanding run both on the field and off the field. Nate's a great example. He wouldn't say anything about this, but Nate was on the team that lost in the national championship game.
Way to go!
Second place.
But it's just in 2007
You had to bring that up.
we had a difficult season. Still made the national tournament, but just didn't achieve what we needed to as a team. We come back the following year and we make it all the way to the national championship game, and
that's
we
the
lose in
final two,
overtime.
right?
Yeah, that's the final game, and it's been a remarkable run. In a guy like Nate, he stays on. He's a great coach. He's done a great deal for our program, and certainly very proud of him as a player, and even more proud as a coach now.
Oh, thanks, Scott.
But our guys, we've got a great group of guys, and I'd take them home to anybody. I mean, they're great guys.
I'm not sure if it was a championship team. One thing that I remember about the soccer team was they have a lip sync contest, and there was
Yes.
one year. Oh, you smiling?
Yeah,
They won that with the full Monty.
yeah. They
They didn't
there
spare
was
much.
actually Actually, they implemented a new rule that you have to at least be able to provide what your skid is going to be prior to going out on the floor and doing it. In that particular year, when the boys were walking out on the floor, I had no idea what they were going to perform.
The crowd liked it.
The crowd loved it. My daughter at the time, who I think was 7 or 8 years old, she still talks about it to this day. So may have scarred her for life. But it was quite an event.
Yeah, a vision.
So
okay. Is there anything?
I don't know.
Do you have a women's soccer?
there's a women's soccer program here at the University of Rio Grande. Callum Morris is the women's head coach, a former player of mine, and he's doing very well with the women's program.
How old is that program?
That program is probably
and it started as a club sport now.
6 or 7 years old. It started as a club 1 year, and then they went full varsity the following year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it started in 2005 or 2006.
And they've jumped
I remember
leaps and bounds since they started.
Okay, maybe some of the people here don't know what group you play with, but where does your area, your league,
competition?
who's your where do you travel to play?
We're a member of the Mid-South Conference, which is schools comprised of schools in Kentucky, now Tennessee, West Virginia, and then 2 schools in Ohio. And then outside of that, we can play anyone that we want. But primarily during the season, we'll only play other NAIA schools and possibly NCAA 2 schools.
I remember one year you played Ohio State University.
Well, in the springtime, we're allowed to play so many games, and we can play anyone that we want. In the springtime, we'll play Ohio State. We'll play a lot of the big Division I schools, and that's great exposure for our program and great competition. And
do I remember correctly that we beat them?
We've beaten Ohio State a few times. Yeah.
A few times.
A few times.
What
Nice.
other teams have we played? Akron, Cincinnati.
We played Akron, Cincinnati, University of Kentucky,
University of Michigan.
Marshall, Michigan. So we try to get out and play top level competition just to improve and show our guys, a different level, a different style, because there is a little bit difference between Division I soccer and NAIA soccer.
And we've beaten all those teams.
Yeah, for the most part. But spring is a great opportunity to get out and play good competition. Played a couple of pro teams and done reasonably well. We tied with a pro team this year.
Now, correct me, but don't we have some graduates that actually went on to coach at semi-pro levels?
And play.
Probably some that
Paul
play
Nicholson, most recent. Paul is playing for the Wilmington Hammerheads in the USL 2nd Division. Mm-hmm. He's the team captain and doing very, very well. He's in his 2nd full year at Wilmington. We've had a couple of guys that have gone back home. We've had a player that was played here at Rio for 2 years, was drafted in the MLS draft and played for the Columbus Crew for a short period of time, and then moved back down to Richmond and played with the Richmond Kickers for a while. So we've had some success and some guys make it to that level.
I think that says an awful lot about little Rio Grande. Soccer's really created a nice international environment here. We've had a lot of good students come through, a lot of success, and I think it's something that we really need to promote more. I grew up in Wellston, really, Jackson County, which is 20 minutes from here, and I had no idea that Rio Grande had such a rich history, really, in soccer.
And we've got a really nice facility too in the last
fantastic
3 years.
Mm-hmm. Well, in 2005, Evan and Elizabeth Davis helped assist with the renovation of our facility, and we have 2 fully lit facilities. Playing surfaces are fantastic. We've got a press box, seating, fencing around the facility, but Evan and Elizabeth were instrumental in not only resurrecting the program and getting it to where it needed to be, but being able to maintain it as well as renovate the facilities. So they're big time supporters of our program.
How's that compare with other places around?
I'm not so sure. I really couldn't answer that. I know that I have friends and colleagues at other institutions, and they certainly have never come across a benefactor such as Evan. But again, Evan and Elizabeth have been instrumental in the success of our program.
Scott,
I'm just curious. Scholarships. Does the league that you are in allow for scholarships?
Yes, scholarships are available. You're allowed to, the NAIA mandates in soccer that you're allowed a maximum of 12, and if an institution wants to provide 12 full scholarships, they can. So that is available.
What do you look for in a recruit?
Look for somebody who can play. Look for somebody who is athletically gifted. Usually speed is always good to have. Size is always a factor because you can't teach speed and size. But then you also take a look at their academics and make sure that they're good students and they understand the importance of an education. And if you've got all of those things combined, then you've got a pretty good athlete to go after.
So if I'm a good soccer player, or I think I am, do I wait for you to call me, or should I contact the school, or how does that work?
Most players nowadays, with the technology, with the internet and email, just Facebook, so many kids now have resumes already put together, and they email hundreds of coaches, and that's the first point of contact, really. And then usually your top players are playing club soccer when they're not playing for their high school, and they're going to tournaments all over the U.S. or wherever, and coaches are recruiting every weekend.
Should they send you a tape or DVD?
They can. They certainly can. Sometimes if mom and dad are doing the video and it's not the best quality, but it's something to see.
Okay. If you wanted to explore Rio Grande soccer, where can they go? Could they watch a game online, or?
We've got, for the last 3 years, we've got all of our games archived on iHigh, which is on our website, athletic website, and you can go watch any of the games that we've hosted here at home. And I think we're getting to a point where a lot of the other schools in the conference are doing it. So, you can do a little bit of research, and the website is Rio Red Storm Soccer, and then there will be a link called iHigh, and you can watch any of our games.
Scott, we're down to just a couple minutes left in our program. What's the future of Rio Soccer?
Future of Rio Soccer hopefully is going to be good, as long as everybody lets us continue to do what we're doing. We're waiting on the recruiting class for 2012 to be cleared by the Eligibility Center at the NAIA, and we've got a great group of guys returning, and our aim is to win a national championship.
Okay, I asked what you look for in them. What can a player expect to see maybe that's different here than if they went to somewhere else to play?
I'd say the biggest thing a player would see differently at Rio than, say, Ohio State is that, first off, they'd notice that the coaching staff takes care of the facilities. So we have 3 different playing surfaces that the coaches cut and manicure, fertilize, water, paint, prepare, all the game day management stuff that you wouldn't see at many other institutions. And I think you'd see a level of commitment from all of the coaches that this is the passion and this is what we aspire to want to be and we want to do. And I think that feeds into the players, and the players pick up on that.
Sort of like the whole thing when we talk about Rio Grande is the personal care or commitment that the staff and faculty have towards the students.
Absolutely.
It's that family atmosphere.
60
Yep.
seconds.
Got 1 minute. Anything, last words you'd like to wrap up with?
I'd just like to thank you guys for allowing me to be on the show and talk about the history of the soccer program here at the University of Rio Grande, and hopefully we have another 24, 25 more years of success like we've had for the last 23.
And you're not retiring anytime soon, right?
Not retiring anytime soon, not with a 2-year-old. I'll be working for a while.
Sorry, Tony.
Yeah.
Anything you'd like to say about the soccer program since you were part of it?
Nope.
Nope?
Not really.
Thanks.
I'm just really happy that Scott came and was on our show and said everything about it.
Okay. Who do we
Well,
have next week?
Next week we are actually taking a hiatus.
Oh, that's right.
I have
We're all
another
gonna go
English
swim.
channel to swim. Yeah. I would like to personally thank Nate for covering for me for the last couple of weeks while I have
Well,
been
you were
out
really
getting
busy,
a little
so
Okay.
rest and relaxation. And by the way, you did a fantastic job.
thank you.
Fantastic MBA student. Another one of our soccer athletes that's also a very good academic.
Okay.
So I'm Jason.
I'm Mike.
I'm Nate.
I'm Scott.
Thanks for watching.